Hello, everybody. Welcome to the training, learning, and development community. Sorry, we're a little late. We got some calendaring things mixed up, and but Jaime is here, so I want you guys to welcome Jaime Villanueva to a TLD cast, and we're going to be talking about portfolios, and we'll learn a little bit more about Jaime, and also he's got something that he built out called Folios Rock. So. Jaime, thanks for doing this morning. Now, we met a little while ago, a few weeks ago. You reached out. You're somebody that is also a community builder, but you've got an instructional design background. You're a designer and trainer. I am really curious to know your background. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Let's start out with who exactly you are.
All right, sounds good. Hey, first of all, thanks for having me on. And aside from the technical difficulties, I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, just a little bit about me. I spent 13 years in the semiconductor industry doing training. And when you're doing training for the semiconductor industry, these are trainings that last for like weeks and months, right? So if any of you guys are familiar with stand-up training, which we don't do a lot of these days, it seems like, you know, I was born out of that area. Oh, look at that. Someone did some Six Sigma training. So yeah, the company that I was with for a while there was a small company, you know, quote unquote, 10-core KLA. And I was fortunate enough to have that particular career bring me all over the world. And then, so soon after that, just after loving the whole space of training and training design and whatnot, I started moving into software and internet technologies. And so for the last 10 or so years, I don't want to date myself too much, although that's kind of hard to hide these days. You know,
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I know. Misery loves company. So I've spent the last, 10 years in the internet space and more specifically social media space. So my last gig was 4 years over at Facebook. So just learned a lot, and being in this space of social media and community, and even this community that you have, Lewis, it's I've decided to sort of join the entrepreneur side of the world and social media and really find and develop solutions for training designers and developers. And so this brings me now to where I am today and sort of this topic of Folios Rock. I'm pretty active in LinkedIn and looking at some of the activities that and topics that are covered in LinkedIn, especially with regards to the idea of, you know, what it means to have or not have an online portfolio, right? What it means to have a good LinkedIn profile and have that relate to your online portfolio, what that means to your personal brand, to the message that you send out to the world with regards to your skills, your expertise, and honestly, you as a person, right? Because if you take a look at various people's online portfolios and LinkedIn profile, there's a lot of very relationship, people-oriented topics that, you know, people put out there about themselves. And I think that's a good thing, right? And it's especially a good thing because in this age of pandemic where we rarely see each other physically, having that connection via social media and putting yourself out there kind of vulnerably, sharing in the things that you believe in, sharing the things that you're passionate about, that's all wonderful. And that's so valuable to be able to put out that message both professionally and personally. And so this brings me, you know, again, to the topic of why Folios rock, right? So I
Yeah.
developed, so I developed this platform, Folios Rock, specifically for creatives and trainers and e-learning designers, anyone that's in the creative space. But more so right now, I'm really focused to those that are near and dear to my heart, and that is training designers and developers. I want to
Right.
give
Right.
them, yeah, I want to give them a platform where they can easily create an online portfolio, right? You don't have to worry about like, oh, where do I host this thing? And how do I get started? What's the layout supposed to look like? And more importantly, what content should I put up there? Right?
Yeah, and and Jamie, that's kind of I think one of the key sort of factors in what I find interesting about you. So, like you're saying, you come from kind of having a social media background as a designer. You've worked
Mm-hmm.
for, Silicon Valley tech giants, what KLA Tencor, PayPal, Apple, Salesforce, and then of course Facebook. You've
Right.
been around. So you've probably seen things that are important to have in your portfolio, in your resume, to be
Mm-hmm.
able, is there anything in particular that you can that you've been able to pull out of those experiences that that you wanted to integrate into the product that you were building?
Yeah. I mean, I've done training design development both as a full-time employee and as of the last 10 or 12 years as a contractor, freelancer. And to me, the most important thing is the word credibility, right? So you have to have a good measure of credibility to attract people to your skills and experiences and talent, right? And without that, I mean, if you look at the world of training designers and developers, there's quite a few of us out there, right? But as in life in general, you're going to have the top 20% doing 80% of the work, or handling a good chunk of the opportunities that are out there. Now, that's not to mean that there's not opportunities for everyone, because right now, excuse me, because right now, with the pandemic, we're starting to get a handle on it. And I don't know about you guys, but my inbox is just blowing up with people kind of, wanting to, see if I'm available, this kind of thing. So now's a really good time to build credibility, right? And so
Wow.
credibility and having an online portfolio are key. If you want a real world example of that, I can share one right now where I was on LinkedIn, and some instructional designer manager from Tesla just put it out there, right, in the LinkedIn training design sort of groups, and said, "Hey, I'm looking for, an instructional designer to join our team, blah blah blah, and it's going to be awesome, this, that, and the other thing." And I see a big name like Tesla, and I go, "Huh, I'm kind of interested in that." So she says to direct message her, and I direct messaged her really short. All I said to her was interested, exclamation point, and then my online profile. And she comes back, I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes later, and says, "Jamie, I love your online profile. Let's get together. I'm going to reach out to my agency right away and get you going." And then lo and behold, that starts it. I'm getting a call from the agency. And what did I do? Type 2 words in, right? Interested, and my online profile. And so, that when I say credibility, I'm at the point where I'm confident enough to be able to do that, where I can communicate with just 2 words and just say interested, exclamation mark. There's a lot of emotions around that, right? And then you send your online profile link, which is essentially your business card. They check it out. It's more than a business card, obviously. They check it out and they go, wow, I want to know more about this guy. Let's bring him in. Right.
So how did you build that credibility? And just, I think that we've had these kinds of conversations on TLD Cast multiple times, but we've never talked about credibility. We've talked about experience and showing that you have experience, but we've never talked about credibility. So I really love the fact that you brought that up. But how did you build yours?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Academia and experience is not the same thing as credibility, right? Mm-hmm. First and foremost, I think that's what you're alluding to. Credibility is about show me, not tell me, right? And so the proof is in the pudding, as it were. So on my online portfolio, you'll see, like the home page where there's an about me and whatnot. But it's more than an about me. I talk about my approach to training, design, development. I share my experiences with the different companies. And by the way, it doesn't have to be with big companies, right? You just have to be able to articulate, no pun intended for us designers, but you have to be able to tell a story around your experiences, right? How you led the development of a training program or a course and whatnot. And you'll find that and I'll share my profile with everyone on the group. You'll find that I always share, like for each and every one of my projects, I share like a summary highlight of what the project is all about. And then right underneath that on the left-hand side, I'll share a challenges section. On the right to the immediate right of that, I'll have a solution section. And then underneath it, the tools I use. And then last but not least, at the very bottom, what my learnings were, right? So that's how I share my projects and my past experience. But in terms of credibility, I mean, at the very home page, just to set the tone, honey, can you grab me a glass of water? Excuse me. On my home page, I talk about, Addi, right? What my interpretation of that is, and not just my interpretation, how I've applied it in real world. I talk about my mission, and I talk about my goals, and that's where I combine sort of the personal and professional outlook on my approach to training, design, and development. So, so that's where you get credibility, right? By sharing your experiences. Yeah, I mean, every one of us, to one degree or another, you're going to have a portfolio of examples. Honestly, they're more HR people and staffing people. Once they see that you've got some samples, they go, oh, okay, he or she can do the technical aspects of developing content. But it's the thinking that goes behind, how it got to that point that matters to them most.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And how do you communicate that, the thinking behind it?
Yeah. So as I said, like for each project, I always sort of, I bring the hiring manager or agent or person into that project, right? And I do that by giving them a summary of, hey, what is this project all about? Just give them a few highlights. It doesn't have to be long. Mm-hmm. And then what are the challenges? What are the solutions? What were the things I was thinking about that led me to those solutions?
Yeah. Okay. So Lisa and Devlin, they're both like dying to see your portfolio. I'm sort of holding off showing anything because I want to get through a couple more questions with you first before we dive into demoing stuff.
Right.
But I wanted to know, like, so when you started building this out, you obviously saw that there was a need, right? That there was a problem.
There's a huge need for it right now. Just go to LinkedIn, you guys, and go to the contact info section. And to any training designer and developer out there, go. Number one, they're either missing a portfolio, or number two, their portfolio is not done very well. So,
right. And but I wanted to know, like, how did you handle your portfolio prior to you building something like this out?
You know what? I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you guys. I just started this business, like, I don't know. Oh, right after my contract ended with Facebook. So when I was working with Facebook, I'm sort of in la la land, right? I mean, I'm working for Facebook, free lunches every day, and I'm working from home. I've got the best equipment. There's no need for me to think about these things, right? So in fact, I wasn't even on LinkedIn until I really left Facebook. So that's the truth of it. Now, getting back to your question, what was the question?
You got distracted by the free lunches. What happened before you had like a portfolio solution?
Okay.
Like you built this out because you saw that there must have been a need.
Yeah, I mean, I had one, but it was just sort of to have something there. But I wasn't that interested in it because I was working very well and all of that. There was no need for me at the time.
Right.
So, and now, honestly, because I've been forced to start looking for work again, right? Welcome to that world. It forced me to like, okay, I'm going to do it right this time. So, I spruced up my LinkedIn profile, and believe me, I know how to do this. And just so that you guys know, I'm a musician. I play guitar. I've got like, I don't know, 4 of them hanging around the house and several amps and whatnot. And and I'm also a photographer. So and I've got an electrical engineering degree and a business degree. You combine all of that, and it's a really great combination for having both the technical skills, the artistic skills, and the business sort of acumen to go, okay, I mean, I think I can really put some nice things together. So that's what led me to developing these platforms. It's like, if I have a need, and I'm a seasoned professional, if I have a need to have an online portfolio that syncs really nicely with LinkedIn, there's got to be a ton of people out there who are dying to know how to do this, but do not have the expertise to like work with a website, to work with a web hosting folks, to get a domain name. And like, what does that mean? And what does it mean to tackle layout on a website? And I'm going, wait a minute. These folks I'm just fortunate because I have that experience and I know how to do that. But it's like, how many people need to be able to develop their online portfolio properly? One that works for them, one that's inviting, and understand this ecosystem of LinkedIn, having a presence on LinkedIn, and then driving people from LinkedIn to your personal website. That's the goal, right? You don't want to make LinkedIn your online profile.
Right.
That's sort of like your business card on LinkedIn, and then you want to drive them to your company, and that company is you.
Yeah.
Right?
Now I want to say, Jamie, like, probably one of the best portfolios that I've seen online is by Devlin Peck, who's actually in the audience now, and he really wants to see your portfolio. So,
nice. Okay.
and I know he did it probably through through Webflow, like a no-code solution, which is what I use for my own website.
Mhm.
And before everybody like starts, before I start a riot here, we've got multiple requests to see your portfolio. So maybe like answer this question while you're bringing that up. So mouse over your window and you'll see like a little share screen come up, or a arrow with a computer.
Okay.
That'll get you to
Share
be able to
screen.
share.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
there you
All
go.
right.
But then while you're doing that, let me ask you this question from Rubina, who put this in the Q&A area. What are the top 3 skills you think HR reps or employers are looking for?
Communication, the ability to think critically, and then the third is to be able to produce creatively. Those have got to be the top for sure.
Okay.
Communication is so key. It is so key. And by the way, if you guys ever just to hone in on that first point about communication, the only reason why you have HR screening calls, right? These are the first 30-minute calls that you're having with a company, is they just want to hear you speak and, put sentences coherently and sentences that connect and whatnot. So, practice communicate. I'll share a secret with you guys. I love interviewing. And it doesn't even matter whether the position is entry level or whatever, or it could be a position that maybe I'm not that interested in. But I love interviewing because it keeps me fresh. It keeps me sort of on my toes with giving me the ability to practice thinking on my feet, right? To be able to articulate words and concepts to another person whom I've never met, and give you a chance to practice that. I think it's so important. So, okay, you were screen sharing. Please click the close message. Okay. Oh, all right. So now we're getting this thing here.
Oh, you're screen sharing the actual crowdcast thing. You gotta get to.
All right. So let me go to my portfolio. All right. And by the way, when you get, are you guys seeing my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
So this is what my, let me close some of these other things out. Close. All right, keep it clean here. All right, so hopefully you guys are seeing my screen. So it's all about branding, right? Now, I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but I had to put a suit on and comb my hair a little bit and put some gel on it to make it look nice and whatnot. But this is my site, and, honestly, some words about your personal site, right? It's not so much about like the layout and what this thing looks like. I mean, yes, it matters, but what matters most is the tone and the message that you're trying to get across to potential hiring managers and whatnot. It's the tone. So for me, I'm an experienced training designer and developer. I've been around the business for a long time. I'm not going to have colors that are like just crazy and, text kind of all over the place. It's going to have a conservative look and feel to it. And so that's the tone and message that I'm sending with my personal online site, right? So at the very top, contact information. The logo, I don't have a logo. My logo is my face, right? And I want my face to be up there at the very top anytime I'm scrolling, because I want my face to be at the top of their mind at all times. I want my personality to be at the top of their mind at all times. The menu's really simple, right? My name, what this is all about. Some people want to get to my portfolio right away, so it's at the very top, very easy to find. Also, I never email people my resume anymore. I never do that. I send them my link. I send them my, and I say, view my resume and download it from there. Done, right? Now, I also have a contact me call to action if they want, so that they don't have to email me. It's rare for me anyway that people use that. They just really use this site to just check me out, right? And so let's keep going down. Right below it is just a little short blurb about me. Again, a call to action to contact. Nice picture of me. I think it's kind of nice. My wife made me wear that suit, and she asked me to shave and all that stuff. So I did that. And here's the part I was talking about, credibility, right? So here's an about me section. I talk about my years of experience, a little bit about my projects, and look at this, right? This section right here really just summarizes why I'm an expert in my field, right? So people read this. I had a hiring manager actually quote me something that that I wrote on my page, and it was about this. It was this one right here. She quoted this back to me, so I knew she was on my website checking me out. She said she loved what I wrote about, hey, they all needed it yesterday. Now, why was that important? It was important because it told me that, let me close this. It told me, I'm sorry, what it told the HR person was that I understood business, right? And that businesses in general have always needed their training content yesterday, right? So, but I didn't say that directly, right? Saying it indirectly like this is the kind of conversation or tone of conversation that you're going to have with professionals out there, right? So you want to pick those opportunities to relate to people, especially to HR folks, staffing agencies, that you get the business. You've been there, right? And I'll talk about later on, or maybe in another podcast, broadcast like this, we can talk about if you don't have the experience, or if you're just starting to build your portfolio. I have a solution for that as well, and it's on my platform, right? But let's keep going. So you've got an about me section, my personal mission with regards to learning and developing learning and technical content, how I approach it. And then people, I don't know, for some reason or another, even after you told them you've got 10 years of experience, right? And we've all been there. They go, what tools have you used? It's like, come on, man. It's like, I mean, this is just a dozen or so tools and applications that I've used in my entire career. And what's cool about this, you guys, is I show the percentage of usage. Now, why is that important? Because you're not using all these tools 100% of the time. You use it, in phases, right? Depending on where you're at. Now, I've got my favorite tools like Articulate Rise and whatnot. You can see that I use it 95% of the time, right? And then I have supporting tools, right? But these are my top 3 tools right here: is Snagit, Articulate, Camtasia, and then I use all these other tools right here to support what I do, depending on what I need, right? That's the story that tells. It's a wonderful way to tell a story, in a graphic way. The next section is, again, going back to credibility. Like, I here talk about methodology, right? Or not methodology, but project mixes. I'll talk about methodology later on at the bottom, right? Like, how do I spend my time, right? 35% of the time, I'm working on training, design, development. 30% is technical writing. Well, these two kind of go hand in hand, right? I mean, if you're not writing a nonfiction novel or a fiction novel, then you're writing technical stuff. doing some web and multimedia design development, I try to incorporate multimedia into my trainings. And then last but not least, I always have a project and team management section, right? So the way to look at this is that you've got content development happening on these three bubbles here, and then you've got business side management on the very right. You always have to mix your creativity and content development with understanding and supporting the business, right? So that's what this piece is all about. And then I'll just keep moving down. The home page, you guys, is so important. And I recommend that for you guys who've either built your portfolio or want to revamp it, take a look at this and go, okay, like, you know, what parts of these can I use, right? Again, more thoughts on training, design, development, thoughts on technical writing. And then I've got these 6 blurbs here that further talk, and notice I've got them hidden, right? Like, what are my thoughts on designing the learning experience? I talk about that. What about, hey, what if we're just starting from scratch, right? What are my thoughts around that, right? And so branding, look and feel. Why do I even put that in there? Well, you guys know that it's important for companies and organizations, even if you're designing courses and programs for them, you still have to adhere to their branding, look and feel and tone. And so just having this here, even if they didn't open it, they're going to go, oh, okay, great. He understands the need for branding, look and feel, right? Templates and workflow. A lot of organizations, they have their own templates. They have their own workflow. I worked at Salesforce, and you know what? My work at Salesforce consisted of copywriting. I didn't write the training. I didn't produce the full training from A to Z. I just wrote the copy, the storyboard, handed it off to another team. Let me close it. I don't know why this is popping up. There we go. I don't know. Okay, I kind of lost my train of thought here. All right, so getting back to this stuff, just having these topics here, it shows that you understand business process. You understand that you may need to collaborate with other people, and that there's stakeholders, right? So that's what this communicates. The next area is just kind of more sort of expertise type topics. The Addi process in rapid instructional design. Now, I came up with this title because most training managers, they're familiar with Addi process. They're also familiar with the fact that if you try and implement the Addi process, it's slow. But if you implement Addi process in rapid instructional design, they're going to go, oh, okay, I got it. This guy can think thoroughly about workflow and process, but he can also produce quickly, right? So that's the message that this sends, right? Last but not least, we're going to go into the featured work. Just some beautiful layout stuff where you talk about your featured projects. And on the homepage, I only featured 3 of them, right? There's no need to feature more than that, right? Some people will lay it out into sort of blurbs or columns. I want them scrolling. These are some of my projects. I put my most technical project up at the top because I want them to know that I can handle technology, right? So my most technical at the top, and these are big name brands. If you have the opportunity to throw names out there, absolutely do it, right? So I've got GE Digital, Facebook, PayPal, right? So they see that and they go, oh, great, right? And then down at the very bottom, these are some of the people I worked at Facebook. I mean, we had a crying fest because I was leaving. I loved my team. They wrote some very nice things. So I asked them, hey, you guys mind if I use your those awesome comments in my send off on my page, right? And they said absolutely. And so these here they all are, and just quotes, right? So that's my homepage.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jamie. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about how you think this, like when your portfolio, you have your portfolio constructed as it is. What is the journey of this portfolio, right? Because, like, for instance, in that instance where you talked about, messaging with someone from Tesla on LinkedIn, how do you think this portfolio got? How do you think this one traveled?
When you say traveled, like, what do you mean by that exactly?
So the person that posted it, just said, like saw what you had looked at your portfolio, and do you think she handed it off to an HR person, or who do you think it went to, and what about this page is relevant?
Yeah, I think this person, wow, it's too bad I can't show you the actual post, but I think it sounded to me like this person was part of like she was a senior level person with the training team. And because this particular position was contract and they were working through an agency, she essentially said, I'm going to pass your name off to the agency. And then that's when the agency went ahead and initiated contact with me, and and so forth, and that sort of kicked it off. Now, whether the agent saw my website or not, I don't know. I think what was most important was that lead person at Tesla, who was part of the hiring team for that position, was the one that saw it, and she was the one that was excited about it and whatnot. So,
right,
it was just awesome. I mean, it's like how many times in a month or a quarter will you get someone who's reaching out to you, right? Versus the other way around. So
yeah.
So it's kind of awesome.
Before I forget, Rubina culled together. She said top three. Actually, it ended up being 4 skills. Top 4 skills, according to Jamie, follow the 3 C's, or the 4 C's now: communication, critical thinking, creative presentation, and credibility.
Oh wow, so nice.
You might
can I borrow that?
I know exactly.
I want to borrow that.
All right, so cool. So we don't have a ton of time left, Jamie. So what we had talked about before was, you were building this thing out, and it's actually, something that people can use. And I know for myself, it has been frustrating for me because people have asked me for help as far as building out a portfolio. And I, have made the mistake of saying, well, you got to buy a domain name and you got to find somewhere to host it and use WordPress or use something. And it's terrible to tell somebody that doesn't know about web development, how to get into it. So ideally, and I haven't looked at your tool or the back end or how it works or anything. So I'm looking forward to you showing it off.
Yeah. How much time do I have left here? Just so that I know.
Maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay. 10 minutes. Okay. I'm just going to quickly show you some things that I'm working on with regards to how easy it is to kind of just sign up, number one. All right. So the first thing you want to do is remember Folios Rock. You can go to foliosrock.com or .net, right? And there you can sign up and whatnot. And hey, once you sign up and whatnot, and we'll swing a deal for everybody that's on this call here, and just give it to you guys for free, okay? Because I want you guys to benefit from something like this, and I really want to see you guys put together an awesome folio, okay? So let me show you guys a couple of things that that is in the works already that you can use to kickstart your folio. So again, it's got to be easy, right? That's the whole idea, right? So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things, and you'll have access to this once you sign up and whatnot. Don't worry about this stuff here. I'm just going to say Ariana. All right. All right. So I'm going to be very upfront about the platform that this is built on. And I did this intentionally, okay? I did this intentionally. And hold on, I have to open a private window here. All right. When you sign up, oh wait, let me get back to my original train of thought. So my platform is built on top of WordPress. Okay. Now, WordPress happens to drive like 30 or 40% of the world's websites, which is exactly why I picked it, right? But I also built into my platform a website designer that takes a lot of that technical stuff and removes it so that you can focus on designing your website and not have to worry about coding and stuff like that, right? So what I do is I give you guys the ability to start with a template, right? And I'm going to just walk you through a few of them right now, right? So here's Ariana's template, and it's just clean, right? And eventually, if you join my community of where I'll help you build your website and whatnot, I'm going to give you guys ideas and concepts around the look and feel of your website. So for example, I'm going to scroll through this. This is what I call a high key type design, right? Where everything is very light in tone, very airy, right? And you're going to see content that's put together that is very similar to the content that I showed you from my profile, right? But when you get this template, all you have to do is replace the photos to whatever photos you like. Obviously, put your photo here, put it up in the logo. The menus are all going to be put together for you. In other words, the whole look and feel of it is already put together for you, right? The skills section, the toolbox section, your time spent on projects, your featured client section. Your folio can start off looking like this, but again, it's just a starting point, but it takes a lot of the technical sort of anxiety around building your profile and making sure that the appropriate content is there. This is one example, okay? So another example, and you'll have access to this, as I said, is you'll have access to, let's see, let's go to Nicolina here, okay? Yeah, let me just log in. Okay, this is Nicolina's template. So it just depends on the look and feel that you want, right? I posted a video on like, how do you like make your website look cohesive, right? So this one's a little different look. It's a little more playful. You'll see that the colors go really well together. The About Me is not up here, but it's down here. So it's just a different flavor, right? The color scheme matches her photo, and I'll show you guys how to do that, right? Picking the right photographs to go with the personality again, but you're the same level or types of content, it's going to be found in her template as well. Okay, one more. Let's see, Neville's. All right, let's take a look at Neville's, right? So again, so I've seen websites where they'll use sort of flat graphics as well. So again, a different look. And in this instance, Neville is probably an e-learning training program designer for a little more technical stuff, right? So his world is around software development and whatnot, but he's an expert at training design development for it. So this is how another folio can look. It's a little playful, and you know, it appeals to, you know, I would say the younger sort of space of people, you know, software developers, you know, cloud, social media folks, who knows, right? But sort of the younger crowd, if you will, right? So the fonts are a little different. but again, it maintains that same sort of look and feel. And again, going back to my platform, you can have access to these templates and more, and you don't have to use these templates. You can go in and import your own theme and whatnot if you wanted to, right? If you're inclined to do that. But I definitely wanted to address the folks and give them the ability to kickstart their folio with any of these templates, right? So hopefully that'll help out with anyone that's joining our platform that's looking to develop their online portfolio. And again, having your folio on our platform, you don't need to worry about like, God, where do I host it, right? Like, what tools do I use, right? And then everything is done visually, right? So when I say visual, I'll just give you a quick example here, right? So I just hit the enable visual builder. So now you're seeing these sections come up, right? There's these little markers. If I wanted to change this photo, it's as quick as just clicking on a gear icon, clicking on background, looking at photo. Oh, I want to change that, right? So now I can just select any one of photos that I want. I'll just select one. I'll just select this one just to show, right? And immediately it's there, right? No code required, right? You just make it your own, right? So if I wanted to change this photo because I'm making this portfolio work for me, let's go ahead and change it, right? So there should be some examples here. Here's Ariana's picture. Boom, just like that, you customize it for me or for you, right? Now, if you don't like this rounded look, you can change it, right? You just go into design, you go into border, and you start, removing these rounded corners. And let me move this aside so you can see it, right? It's so easy, so friendly, right? Oh, wait, did I change the right border? Yeah. So this is it, right? So if I took it to 0, you can see that it's square now, right? It's flat. If I wanted to design it with a drop shadow, you go down here, boom, drop shadow, and on and on. It's like you could spend your entire, I don't know, month or two building your online portfolio. But again, for me, you guys, it's not so much about the content. I think it's more about, in fact, I know it's about the text and the experiences, the skills that go towards your credibility. So I'll go ahead and end it there.
Yeah, your 4 C's. Now I want to just a little bit. You had mentioned also that along with Folios Rock, there's sort of this side little social network that you have going, right?
Yeah. So let me go back to, let's see. Let me go ahead and open up this. And I'll just go ahead and sign in so you guys can see here. So what I want to do is have a specific site for training designers and developers, right? We have collectively, you guys, we have so much to share, so many stories to hear, so many experiences to learn from, right? I want to take all our collective knowledge, experiences, skills, and let's share it amongst each other, right? So this is what you're seeing here is a community that you can become part of, right? Once you sign in, and here you can start to reach out to other members, right? You can reach out to other members, you can follow them, you can connect with them. And here's another cool thing, very similar to most communities. You can join all of these groups and start to share your experiences. put your questions out there, right? Put the things that you're thinking about, how do you tackle this, or what your thoughts are around a certain thing. Like getting hired. What are the challenges amongst training designers and developers? What if I'm new? What if I just transitioned into this position? How do I speed that up? How do I get my first gig, right? To me, it's all about networking, right? So being a part of a community that's focused on training designers and developers. Now, this community is going to have a focus primarily on personal branding, folio site development, design issues, advice and things like that around your personal branding and folio. So that's sort of the main focus of this particular community. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out Folios Rock.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to find support for the tool that you've created.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It looks great. I'm hoping that that people take advantage of it. And I think that even it might just be a fun. I mean, even if you're not interested in building out your portfolio right now, it might be just a good exploration for yourself. Just getting some experience with working with kind of a no-code solution. Looks really, really interesting. And with that, I've got to wrap up. I've got to clock into my. There's music. I hear music. Oh,
Yeah.
I've got to drop into my day job. But Jaime, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. You have a lot of wisdom to offer, especially when it comes to the hiring process. And there are a lot of folks that are looking for help with that. It's a lot of new instructional designers. So maybe you can come back and talk about that a little bit more at some point.
I'd love to. And thanks, Liz, for having me on, and really enjoyed this, and looking forward to seeing you guys online, especially on Folios Rock community. Just as a follow-up, I'm going to send Lewis some info on how to get you guys, for those of you who are interested in producing your folio and joining this community for free. I'll send that information and he'll reach out to you guys. Okay?
Yeah, we can put it on the Slack group in tldchat.us, so you guys can find it there. And don't forget, Friday is Community Day. We're talking about story. We've got 6 sessions going. Super excited about that. And this kind of aligns with it too, because these portfolios tell your story.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Friday. And thanks again, Jaime.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.